Okay, Kurt here at the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we're here checking out one of the really neat trucks, but it's not a Land Cruiser. And this is one of the newer additions to the museum. Hasn't been here super long, so if you've been here before, you need to come check it out. But this is called a Q Series truck, and this is an FQ. And this is really, if you were to look at it holistically, the granddaddy of like the full-size Toyota truck, so the T100 and the Tundra. This is an early 60s model, but they built these in the 50s and 60s as the Q truck. A lot of military applications, but they were sold to some contractors, and this particular model came out of Australia. Really neat truck. So let's come take a look at some of the features of it. It does have an F-powered motor, which is very similar to the F motors in the early Land Cruiser. So the same exact family series. This is the F110. It's cool. The sticker is still there on the valve cover. And just a really neat truck. The big wheels, these don't have like traditional shocks. They've got linear actuators for the shock system underneath there. Kind of worth peeking at. The axles are a two-piece axle housing that bolts together over the diff, a really early design that Toyota used. You don't find that on any of the Land Cruiser lineup. And neat to see. And when you climb in the cab is where you see some really cool stuff. Come on, sneak around. I'll let you peek in here. So they didn't have a coolant recovery bottle on these. If it overflowed, it would have just overflowed out onto the ground. And one neat thing is you had this little card on the dash that told you the water was filled. Or, got to slide them up here. Two hands to do this. You have antifreeze in it, so you know it's got antifreeze. Or you know if it has no water and it needs to be refilled. So you had to do that every day or every few days, depending on the type of service you were using the truck. But really simplistic dash. You see all the gauges and the buttons. A big bench seat. The cool fold-down windshield. This has a flatbed on it. This was not an original flatbed. They are available with tray backs with a full bed, which is pretty cool to see those. There's a few still floating around. So peeking underneath, you can see just how heavy duty the chassis is. A big pintle hitch setup, that big beefy frame, ladder supported across the way. And in its time, this would have been probably considered a 2-ton truck. It's a big heavy hauler. And the interesting part from a Land Cruiser's perspective is some of the parts that were shared with Land Cruisers. So as you walk around and look at some of our early Land Cruisers, you'll see the mirror arm is a very similar mirror arm as an early 40. The bumper mounted turn signal, identical, same design. And of course underneath the drivetrain, very similar. These had a different tranny and T-case, but the engine setup and the motor underneath, very similar to what an early Land Cruiser would have had. So a lot of that DNA, and it's a fun one to have in the museum to show off the collection. So this is our 1962 Toyota FQ15. And that concludes the big truck here. We'll go check out some more with Tim this afternoon.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from the Toyota Land Cruiser Museum. I hope you really enjoyed it. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for more Pickup Truck Plus SUV news and different stories I do. Hit subscribe to follow along and find the playlist down below. There'll be a playlist of different museum videos I'm doing. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you down the road.